Now that's something we don't do. We don't go on the high. Oh, I wanted to fix that. You see that right there? That's the gasket that was stopping this thing from going around. Um, and I want to try to fix that. So hold on a minute, guys. I mean, it's working, but with that gasket like that, it's not going to work for long. Because eventually that gasket's going to pop out, and when it does, it's going to jam up the system. What's the problem is that jacket, or that gasket rather, is worn. You know, over the 20 years, they tend to wear out. So I have a plan. I have a plan. See, that gasket's supposed to go into that crease right there, which it does. But see what I have left over? That's because it's just worn. Let's try this again. Who's responded? Let me see. Oh, the wife's on. Okay, Harold responded. Okay. Let me get this off. Well, you know what? Let me turn you off for a minute, and then I'm going to go help the wife. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to take it out there and wash it off. Um, I'm going to look for another one. I may have one of these. Maybe a little smaller, but that would work. But if not, I'm going to try to cut and glue it. And I think that would be okay, but I got to get it clean. So let me turn you off and go look. All right, so what I'm doing here is I couldn't find it. The ones that I have are just too short, um, and they're not as flexible, so they're not going to work. This is almost like a hose, like a rubber hose. If you look in there, you can see it. So I cut about an inch and a half off. Now I have this little one, and I'm going to see if I cut this one, if it will slide into this one. This one may not. No, okay, this one's a little too big. Well, I can make it work. The problem being is once I put glue on it, I won't make it work. That one fits. Good. How far up? Good. See, there's not a whole lot of tension on this. It's not really being pulled. It's more being used as yeah, hello, a bushing of sort, if that's what you want to call it. Just more or less to help the whole thing turn. There. Now, try to get a little dab, and I need a little dab, so I gotta get a toothpick. Oh, wait a minute. This is a crazy little bit. This stuff, I mean, look at the size of that brush. I mean, it's so small because you don't need a lot. I just don't know if it'll stick to rubber. I know it works on plastic. Let me see something here. Water dry, a blowing on it. It's a chemical dry, it's not air dry. So the wife's home, and when I went out to the porch to help her bring the groceries in, there was a box. Yes. There it is. Not sure about that. Handles on. I went for coffee and I hadn't changed yet. And when I'm flopping around in my sandals, that's what happens. And that's what talking about them with the saddle soap. The sandals I have on are leather. So I was thinking about, putting some soap on them, saddle soap. They're probably 25 years old and they're still working. All right, I need something to put some crazy glue on. Like I haven't got anything here. What is my problem? I got all kinds of shit here. I just get this box out of the trash because it doesn't belong in the trash. And I'll just use this. And we're going to try a little of this. Now, I do have the what the hell you call it, for making it dry faster. Yeah, I'll remember these things someday. But I really don't want to use that because I don't know what these certain chemicals are going to do to the rubber. I mean, I see them use this on the black foam type stuff that I use in modeling. I just don't know how it would work on this. I really don't know. Well, that actually looks pretty good. You know what? I'm going to try it. I'm not going to wait. I had a call the other day from one of my guys who really didn't want to call, but it was driving him nuts. I may have told you this. And you know what? I mean, we all know how it is. If something is just aggravating you to where you're just not getting sleep over it, it just drives you nuts. It eats at you inside. All right? And you got to say something to somebody. You know, you just don't know. You know, are you overreacting? Should you say? Shouldn't you say? You know, it's just one of those things to where you're kind of like stuck between a rock and a hard place. So he finally called me and said, "Listen, you know, and, you know, he's being apologetic before he even started telling me. But listen, don't worry about it. Right? You know, it'll stay wherever you want it to stay. You know, because again, he didn't want to get anybody else in trouble. All right, which I can understand that. But the other night, on Tuesday, on the 28th, I got a call from the chief saying for my guys to stand down. Basically, don't go on any calls. It's getting bad out there. They were thinking about calling in, which they did apparently. Even the departments, fire departments, and all that. If it wasn't a life-threatening situation, you know, you're stuck in a car and you're in the middle of 10 feet of water or whatever, or your house is on fire and you're having a heart attack, you know, something that's life-threatening, they're not going out. And that's all there is to it. So, you know, it actually came to a point of that. And I was talking to him, and I was talking about the grid. And I said, when you guys are shutting down roads like this, do you start doing a grid so you know what roads are travelable and not ones that you can get through, or different routes in order for you to get to where you need to go? And he goes, yeah, 911 does all that for him at dispatch. I said, okay, because I was concerned about that. You know, I mean, you know, it's one of those things to where, you know, I was going to say, I wonder if he wants us to go out in a team and start just, you know, driving up and down the roads and marking them down so I can start to put together a grid. Because I've done that before. It's not a big deal. He goes, no, 911 does it. But anyway, I was talking to my member, one of my guys, and he was telling me that he went out on Thursday night. Now, not out as working as a town fire police, but personally. He said he had to run down the street because a family member, and he wanted to make sure they were all okay. And it was dark out. It's late. He says no street lights, and there's a tree across the road with hot wires arcing and sparking and all this kind of shit. He says, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he notices a guy out there, or a young guy, young man, or a kid, whatever, depending on who you call young or old or kids or not kids, but meanwhile, he says, and I kind of know the kid. He was with Company 2, but he didn't. He's seen him around Company 2, but he really didn't know what his function was with Company 2. But meanwhile, he's out there in the dark, on a dark road, no lights, no house lights, no nothing other than whatever the sky is giving you. And naturally, it's stormy, so it's not giving you much light. He says, and he's driving down, and the next thing you know, he sees this person with a flashlight. Now, it's a law, at least in Connecticut, if you're doing any type of traffic with a light, it has to have a red cone on it. Now, you still have your flashlight in front, but it has to have a cone on it. Well, this kid had a flashlight with no cone. He had no markings on him to identify if he is somebody or if he isn't. Block the number. Okay. He was wearing dark clothes. He had a bicycle helmet on, but no reflection, no reflective tape or anything on it. He didn't have a car. He had a bike. And he had two traffic cones, one of them in the street and the other one on the sidewalk. So my guy, who has all the equipment in the vehicle, seen him there and said, whoa, you know, I mean, this kid is in trouble. I mean, you know, if nobody sees him. If somebody's coming up quick, they're going to hit this guy. So anyway, he pulls over and he says to the kid, he said, listen, he says, if you want, you know, he's with the fire police. He has all the equipment in the car, you know, the lights, the strobes, the cones, the reflective vest. He's got extra vest. He's got everything to support him and the kid or the person. So that it'll be safe. Kid said, no, he's got it covered. Don't worry about it. I got it. I was what the hell was the word now? Respond. I was called to respond to the call. All right. So he left. You know, who was he? Meaning my guy. You know, if Company 2 sends this kid out, well, okay. And I already said that, you know, we got orders not to go, not to respond. And we really couldn't do anything anyway. You know, there's 10 of us. We're working in teams, so that means 5. Well, there were wires coming down so bad, and so many, that what good is it for us to be there? Now, we could have prioritized something if it was a real busy location or on a curve where people are coming around a curve. You know, you try to figure out what's what, but there was really nothing to do. They were just putting up tape, you know, the fire department, just tape. You know, put it up ahead. So if somebody's coming around a bend, they get it before they even hit the bend, so they know. But anyway, I said, well, I'm going to find out for you. I'm not going to mention any names. So I called up the deputy chief. Nice guy. Nice guy. Really, you couldn't run into a nicer guy. But anyway, he called me back. I told him, call me when you get a chance. He called me back, and I said, listen, I said, you know, I got a guy, one of my guys, his feelings are hurt, you know, and justifiably so. You know, we're told to stand down, which we understand why. It's a safety issue at this point, you know, and you know, you don't want to become a hazard. You know, you don't want to become part of the problem. And they were shutting everybody down. I said, but as he's driving home at night in the dark, and he gets to Damascus and Pine Orchard Road. Trees are down, road's closed. There's a kid standing out there with a flashlight, a regular flashlight, no cones on it, no nothing, no nothing on him to identify him, no reflective gear, safety equipment. Had a bicycle helmet on with no reflection, and he had a bicycle. I says, and he's out there directing traffic around this incident. I said, so my guy, looking out for the safety of the person, asked him if he wanted some help because he has everything in his truck. And then if so, he was going to get a hold of me to verify if it would be okay. And then at that point, I would have to verify it with the chief. But he said, the kid said, nope, all right, I was dispatched out here, I got it covered. So my guy left. And that's what was bothering him. One is, why is this person out there doing what he was doing that was actually a hazard to himself and supposedly being dispatched out there, and we're on standby? You know, which makes sense. And that's what was bothering him. So he called me and we talked about it. And then I called up and I found out. The chief got back to me and I told him what happened, and he said, I know just who it is. He shouldn't have been out there. He's not part of the department. He is a, what do you call him now? Shit. When you're too young to become a volunteer, you're a, shit. Well, anyway, you know what I mean. It's like you're a Cub Scout before you're a Boy Scout, that type of thing. You know. So anyway, his father is a part of the company too. And I even knew the kid's name, you know, so I said, you know, my guy is not looking to get anybody in trouble. He was more hurt because there's this guy out there doing something that you know he's not trained to do. He's not equipped to be doing it. You know, so who would put him out there, you know, when there's qualified people that could be out there doing the job? You know, I said, so he was kind of, my guy was kind of hurt, you know, and the chief said justifiably so. That kid was not dispatched to go out there. You know, well, he knows who it is. He's almost positive he knows who it is. His father is a member of Company 2. And the chief, or not the chief, but the captain of Company 2, which I know, he's been to my house, Mark, I said, he would never dispatch that kid out like that. So the kid basically took it upon himself to go out there. That's why he didn't want any help. He didn't even have a radio. If anything happened to this kid, he'd just be laying there until whatever. I mean, because everybody was off the road. So and he said he would have never dispatched that kid out there. First of all, he wouldn't have. The kid's not old enough to be out there. I wish I could remember what the hell they have, what they call them. But anyway, we got that taken care of. And then my guy naturally felt a lot better, knowing that, one, the kid's not going to get in trouble. However, he's not going to do it again either. And two, they didn't dispatch him out there over us. There, see, now that fits nicey, see? So now I'm going to get a little grease and put on that. What did I do with the grease? Did I put it back? Why would I have done that? Why would I have done that? See how nice and tight it fits now? Alright, and it's going to do the same thing. Alright, I just got to figure out why I put the grease back, if I did. I was using it yesterday. All my trouble seems so far away. Now I Yesterday. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Now, as long as the chemical reaction doesn't screw up on this, we'll be all set. And meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll start looking for a couple more of these gaskets. It doesn't have to be from the company. It could be any of them. Just a rubber ring to help with the friction. There. There we go. All right. Da 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 da. Now, that's there. And this is here. So this goes this way. Nicey fit, nicey. I like the way that fits. Now if it'll work, that's another story. Just put a couple screws in to see. The only thing that may prevent this from turning is the difference in thickness. Because when I put the other two together, I put the one in it. It went in comfortably, so it's not like I had to stretch it to get it in, but it did make it a little bit thicker. Okay, now that all looks really nice. Now, let's see if it's really going to work. This sucks. Every time I try to do something, I'm not getting there. I go to put it on and I'm like, it's here. And instead of doing that, I'm like doing this. Actually, connect that. Good. It'll actually work better out there because it's going to be upside down. It's going to be this way. And I might just spray a little grease up. Let me take this out there and I'll come back in and get you. I'll explain this screwdriver, the screw, and the light. And now I'll unplug the mic. You guys, look around. I'll be right back. That's where it goes. So that's where I'm going. That's what I'm trying to go anyway. Okay. There we go. Oh, I don't need all this last wire. make sure that it's all set here. It will swap. Half the time though, even though I know it's 12 volt, I know the power is disconnected. There. Oh, hang on, wrong pins. Well, not like this, but no. Carry coffee. Probably not. I should check. But knowing the way that I did this, or knowing me, I probably use a black wire from the ground. Because I'm looking for 12 volt. We'll print that. Here. Print this. Let me look for a second so I can test everything. Okay. Now, the 12 volts is disconnected right now. So we're going to go over there. Alright guys, we're back. Hold on. I gotta go over here and check voltage. If I can find a little flashlight. Okay. There it is. Okay. I have a 12 volt circuit over here. Did I disconnect? Oh, maybe I did that. Wait a minute. Where's this one go? That goes outside? Is that the one? So these are the ones. And the white is on this side. So I'm just going to take this yellow wire for now. And it's connected. And I'm just going to fasten it to that. And now that means I should have a black one, which I do, which is green, and that should go there like that. So this will tell me temporarily, and if it works, then I have to just wire them back on the way they belong. It works. That's what it was. That white wire that's an actually 12 volt lead. Okay, lights on, lights off. Okay. Good.